Hello and welcome to another episode of Gender Bias. I'm your host, Colin Campbell, and we're here on location at the Tricentennial Park overlooking the Carnage. Now, before we get started, I just want to introduce our guest, bartenderess. I don't know if that's even a word. All right. And I'll also take the opportunity for everyone to just introduce themselves before we get into today's conversation.
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Okay, hi, hello, my name is Fayola Edwards, and I am a local dance teacher and artist, and happy to be here.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I think everybody know my face by now. This is Eddie, legal name Monty, and well, I'm all rounder, right? And the most controversial of all. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, the most needed conversation, as we take you through this journey, you know? So, as we call it, talk entertainment.
All right, she's a little bit shy, but don't worry, we'll get back to her. Yusuf?
Yes, pleasant good afternoon. I am Yusuf Ben, father of 4, photographer, nature photographer, and just in general a student of life. I just thought I'd give, as the people say, my 2 pence today.
I think I would have to, let me take the opportunity to also introduce the bartender. I think maybe this is just protocol, and I would like to apologize. I decided to bring a good-looking bartender this time around, right? Who just happens to be my wife, right? So it is protocol for you to introduce your wife, so I would take this opportunity to introduce my wife, which is Jolene Greenwich, right? And as I say, we just decided to upgrade the bartender to a good-looking bartender. We might have to come back to the ugly one, I know, but see what. All right?
All right. So let's get right into our conversation this evening. Now, today we dare to ask the question, can we attribute society's dysfunction to parenting? And we're talking about the dysfunction that we see in our youthful population. We have seen an upsurge in gun crimes and violence. Nothing that we can say that Grenada is no longer a safe place. We're not there yet. But any upsurge in crime and violence is something to be concerned about. And today, this is our conversation today. I would like to open up to, I guess, women first, ladies first. So I would like to get your take on today's conversation. You being a mother, do you think that the family plays a pivotal role, the dysfunction in families play a pivotal role in shaping the dysfunction that we see in our society today?
Yes, of course. I think whatever you experience in your family, makes you or breaks you. So dysfunction could go either way. It could be character building in a positive way, right? But unfortunately, often dysfunction in family, and that could play a very big role in dysfunction in you as an adult later on in life, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Eddie, I know that's one of the conversation that you love to chime in on. And being a father, are you concerned as a father to looking at that fact that you have your son, you have your daughters? Are you concerned in the way in which parenting has played, especially the modern parenting as we see it,
yeah,
and the role that it plays in actually growing up dysfunctional children?
Yes. Well, this happened to be a subject that I'm very passionate about, and very often I'm being accused. I'm accused when I have conversations, and sometimes just very light-hearted conversations with persons, although it's a serious subject. People accuse me of being sexist when I give my point of view on this, right? But by and large, I want to enforce the point that everything that we see happen in society today, parenting plays a tremendous role in it, right? And let me qualify my statement. If we, as parents, and by extension adults, because I come from a time when the village grew up.
The children,
of course, wasn't just the mother and father, right? So if the quality of parenting and the quality of persons in the village is not of high quality, and I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying, quality, in the context of someone's worth, but is what you have, brought yourself to the point that you do not hold high standards and high values, and therefore pass on those standards and values to your offspring, and by extension the village doing likewise. We end up in a situation that we turn out young people that are flawed and fractured, right? And I want to even go a step further. You made reference to whether it's a modern parenting. I really cannot define if this is modern, because it has been around for quite a while, but I think it has gotten worse, right? What we now call single parenting, right? I think by and large, I don't have absolute statistics to back this up, but what I think, and I'm just talking about just social observable data, that we are dominated by single parent households. And to put it a step further, we are dominated by single mother households, right? And very often that's why people say that I'm sexist, because I think part of the problem, we have so many single mothers, and I'm not speaking to what the reason is that they're single, right? This is a whole different discussion and a conversation to have.
Right.
But the proof is in the pudding. And it is as clear to me, as I said, from my social observation, right, that our mothers, our single mothers, and I'm not going to make a blanket statement, right, there are exceptions to the rule, but our single mothers are not capable of raising especially young men.
Okay.
Right? And to some degree, our young ladies, because you see it in the way they deport themselves in public, the way they dress, the way they communicate, their ability to interact civilly to their peers and to others. I remember the days when you could have seen a young lady and say, "Child, do better than that." You can't
tell the modern kids know that.
No,
No,
they curse you.
they cuss you off. Yeah.
There's no respect.
Right.
It's like there's no line they are afraid to cross. So there's a clear breach. There's a clear void of respect,
Right.
and values in the upbringing of our youth, and that translates to the dysfunction that we see every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to bring Yusuf into this conversation. So I want to just come down a bit and just narrow down to a specific topic under this broad heading that we just established. Let's look at corporal punishment, right? For instance, now I have noticed, I've interacted with a lot of students, a lot of kids in my career, and one of the things I realize is that discipline seems to be lacking. It seems that they're lacking something in the home, and discipline just seems to be the head, the leading, that pops into my mind. So I want to get from your perspective, with regards to corporal punishment, what's your take on that, and do you think it's necessary to some point? What is your take on that whole conversation regarding corporal punishment and in regards to disciplining children?
Okay, so this is my take. However, before I answer that, I would put this in this context. I'm logical and I like to dissect stuff. Right. So this is what I would say. Let's say we speak of dysfunction. So in this era, we say modern, whatever you want to term it, I would say we would have to redefine parenting that it be adaptive to today's society.
Okay.
So for example, when most of us growing up, we were disciplined, there was corporal punishment. We get a little lash here and there, and it took, and we understood that. Our children today don't respond to that.
Okay.
So we have to be adaptive. They don't respond in the context that you hit them with 2 lash, or you discipline them, and before you know, they're doing it again. So I would say we have to redefine the parenting of today in the context. You have to, let's use it, hit them where it hurts.
Okay.
And I'm not talking physical here.
Right. We're
I'm
not talking child abuse, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
What I'm speaking here, you hit them where it hurts in that you take away privileges.
Okay.
So they want to go online, they want something new. So by taking away those privileges or not buying a new shoes or a new vehicle, those who could afford, you hit them where it hurts. You know?
Mhm.
And as you say, whether it be the iPhone, the new Nintendo, whatever, the Samsung. So my take is we have to be adaptive. So yes, corporal punishment in the context in my or our time worked, where we got physical. Well, you know. But today,
Yeah.
you have to
You're afraid to say blows on.
well,
It's a ticklish conversation.
it's so because of the audience and every other time. It's so, and because it's far-reaching. It's not just we here in the Caribbean and elsewhere. It's worldwide. We all become so sensitive and careful with what we say and how we say it, because you get blast. But yes,
You get
out here we
cancelled.
talk about blows. When we talk corporal punishment,
Yeah.
and you say these are the words we use, it sounds very violent.
Right.
Boy, I'll bad beat you.
Right.
You ain't just saying I will beat you. I'll put some blows on you, boy. You know, that's how a thing. You know, as I say, I'll mash up.
Yeah.
You know, we understood that.
Yes.
Today now you use those words and it's a cry down, it's violence. Why are you gonna go that route? But again, coming back to what I said, you hit them at too large, they
don't
shake
respond.
that off, they don't respond. So you have to hit them where it hurts. You take away the allowance for those who get. They
Right.
want to go football, or they want to go hang, they want to sleep over, they want to travel for the vacation. If they're in states or wherever, you take that away.
that privilege
So they
away.
feel it. You don't send them corporal punishment before our discipline. You send them to you get sent to a room. There's no TV, internet, World Wide Web, nothing. No, you send them to the room.
They have the internet.
Some of them have swimming pool. They call their friends over. It's a party
It's a
time.
party.
So you have to hit them where it hurts. So that's my take.
You know, when we're talking corporal punishment, and I'll, I want to get your take on it. Don't worry, I'll bring you in, but I just want to make sure we qualify what we're saying here. So there's two different ideas that come to someone's mind when they hear corporal punishment. Now, there's a difference between child abuse and disciplining children, right? Now, if you look back at some of the methods that were used by parents back in the day, I remember a girl said she had to kneel down on a grater. Now, that's child abuse. But when they beat you with a whip until you bleed, you've heard those stories.
Yeah.
But there's also where children must also understand that there is consequence to bad behavior.
Yes, that's important.
And right, so I just want to get from your take as a mother on this conversation, and the fact that we don't discipline children in the right way, how that now reflects on society.
Well, I would first ask, we have to think about, well, what is the right way? And is the right, if I find a right way, for example, with my child, is that going to work with another child? Mm-hmm. And so what Yusuf was saying about being adaptive, does certainly, I agree with that,
Okay.
But two things, something that Yusuf said and something that Eddie said, kind of bothered me a little bit. Which
Yeah, deal with them.
Yeah, because those words like I go mash you up, I go do, all those threats that we got with the lash right behind it. You said that we understood it, but for some of us it was actually trauma.
Of course it was trauma.
It was trauma.
It's trauma. Okay.
And I think maybe it worked, and and I, for example, my husband would swear by it. He's like, it worked for him. Okay, and I don't doubt anybody when they say that. If it worked for them, great. But I think that those kind of threats and sometimes it was just excessive.
Yeah.
Excessive beating and so on.
Kneeling on the grater, yeah.
Kneeling on the grater. I mean, that's what. But then
punishment.
the thing is, who gets to determine how far is too far?
Okay.
Sometimes that's another question. That's one thing.
That's a good question, Eddie.
But can
But-
You wanna comment?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not,
No, not yet,
till I
Eddie.
finish.
I wanted to jump on
Yeah,
that.
because I just thought about that corporal punishment. I'm not totally against it, okay? But maybe in moderation, maybe the last resort, And I just think sometimes people think, oh, if not corporal punishment, that means that there's no discipline at all.
Oh,
and
okay.
I disagree with that,
Okay.
you know? Oh, this modern way of parenting doesn't work because there's no it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no discipline, okay? And then the thing that Eddie said, I really want to know what he meant by people tell him that people tell you that you're being sexist when you.
Yes.
What exactly are you saying?
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
okay, so let me qualify that statement, right? I'm accused of being sexist because I point out the fact that our society presently is dominated by female or single parent households, right? Because most of our single parents are female, they are mothers. We are
That's
a
a
lot
fact.
of single
Yes.
mothers, which is a fact, right? So, and as I said, I don't have a stat to point to because, as usual, we don't really capture much data in these parts.
But it's obvious.
But it becomes obvious that if we have the main custodian of our children, right, or turning out in droves, children that are incapable of dealing with the everyday, challenges of society. You see, we turning out violent young men, disrespectful young ladies, people that are promiscuous young ladies. You have to ask yourself a question. So anytime I point out the fact that the model of the single female mother does not work for our society as is, right? People think that I'm sexist because they see it as though I'm coming down on women. And it's not that I'm coming down on women. I'm just pointing out a fact that we are dominated by female households, right? I must point out the fact, though, that there are mothers that go the extra mile, and I say go the extra mile because a lot of persons, when they end up in a situation of single motherhood, they do not make the necessary adjustment, right? They want to coin a phrase that they use these days. They still want to be a mother, a single mother, and still, quote unquote, live their best life, right? And I think that the two cannot coexist because parenting requires sacrifice. And if you understand that just basic word, sacrifice, you understand there are times that you may have to do without something, or the child may have to do it without something. And you have this equation whereby mothers want to be friends with their daughters. They want, me and my children, we are friends as long as you do what I say, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, right? So I don't want to go on for too long, but that's just so I don't know if this has cleared.
Are you being critical? Are you being critical of what the mothers are doing, or are critical of the fact that they're alone?
I'm
The
critical.
fact that they're alone and.
Well, I'm critical.
Yeah.
I'm critical more of what they're doing and what they're not doing. If you understand where
Okay.
I'm coming from,
Okay.
because in a lot of cases, some of them are not making the necessary sacrifices. Listen to me. I can't point out nobody, but I sure we all in society know somebody that had a child, right? Whether it's a son or daughter, this month, and by the next month, they back in the club, they back in the wherever it is, they back they may be breastfeeding and they're drinking alcohol and they're doing
Right.
the most. You understand? And then you look at socially how they portray themselves. You become your child's first role model.
Yes, but
Right.
are you concerned? Is there a concern that's just as deep for the fact that they are alone? They're the only parent there, where there must have been a father there.
Well, I did
But
say
are you just
that
as
should
concerned about that?
Well, that I did say. Why they are alone? It's a
Comes
conversation
by
in
it. Okay.
itself,
In itself,
right?
in and of itself.
Because, and I don't want us to go into that conversation because it could be a very lengthy conversation. Because I believe, right? Whereas we have a lot of single mothers, and there could be reason and genuine reason that is not of their fault why they are alone, I think a large percentage of the times they have to take 50% of the blame why they are alone. They have to take responsibility
but
why they are
they're
alone.
taking most of the blame. For what
As
you're
a-
saying, they're taking most of the blame.
No, I listen to me. Once you decide to take on that job, and as I say, I don't want the discussion just to be
Sorry, I'm
about
running away with it.
about whether because I'm getting a feeling that you're starting to feel that I'm just blaming mothers for them being alone. I'm not blaming them for being alone. Sometimes we have to take responsibility for the choices that we make. Okay,
So it's not about passing blame, it's about taking accountability.
accountability, and
of-
and that's my problem.
Right.
Because and maybe this will wrap up this in a nice little cute ribbon, so Fiola understands where I'm coming from. Because just recently I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I just made a passing joke. I said, when you getting married, and she said, getting married, I'm a single mother. I said, why are you a single mother and you have such a young? She said, no, well, my the person that her child's father is no longer in her life, right? And that was even before the child came, And I said, well, let me ask you a couple questions. I said, the person that you decided to have children with, has this man ever claimed you? Has this man ever brought you in public? Has this man have you ever seen any trace whereby this man, or any intuition that this man had multiple partners?
You asked
know
for
what?
that?
I asked her that. And I said, I want you to be honest with me. You know what the answer to the questions were? Everyone was yes. I said, so don't you think you have to take some blame to the position you've put yourself in? That the fact that you know, right? And sometimes as human beings and as women, they know deep down they're a side chick.
Right.
Right? They know they're a side chick, but then they put themselves in a position whereby they're going and make a child for somebody that has not claimed them.
So in essence, that adds
Yeah.
to. So let me put it. So in essence,
Yes.
let's put it this way. Let's do dysfunction. So in essence, that adds to the dysfunction.
Of course. Because you're making you're putting yourself in a position where you're making your child start off from a disadvantageous position.
Okay.
But
All right,
who
so
did
this is-
that? Who did it?
Both parties.
So this is my take. Huh?
Yeah,
This
let's
is my
get
let's
Yusuf
hear
on this
Yusuf,
here. Bring
yes.
Yusuf on the call.
This is my take on all this. I would say all this adds to the dysfunction,
Yeah.
but many a times a lot of us men don't show up. And as you rightfully say, some of the women, sometimes they have a better intuition than
Out.
they have a better intuition than us men. They're fully aware of what's happening, but they choose or hope that they're the one to change the person.
Yes.
And some of us men, we use that as an excuse to play the field that, I know I ain't really serious, and that affords me the ability to go elsewhere. So I would say that adds to all the dysfunction.
Yeah.
Now, we have to also factor in today's time, you look at how a lot of things has changed. So you look at bullying, and not just bullying, I still find it hard to understand online bullying.
So do I.
But being parent and individual, I have to be adaptive. I have to understand that in today's time, when I was growing up, my bullying was I would get too lash or some friends holding a corner or they threatening you.
And they wrap you up. in the head.
That's my, or they say 2 words, but many a times words didn't really affect us. It was word for word. You throw a word, I throw a word. But today, imagine somebody sending you a text, just turn it off. I'm thinking, or don't check it. But I think all that adds to the dysfunction because whether be it parenting, the village, whoever, fathers, mothers, we're not building that foundation or not being there to have them, give them that self-confidence.
Right.
So we have online bullying, we have the social media in your face. So unlike before where we had to go to a party to see, being man, to see a lady leg or in a pum-pum shorts or batty rider, now in your home, your child, even the adults as fathers, as Man, you could go online and you get in the whole wash. Diversity.
Yeah.
Asian, Chinese, whatever. So I would think all that adds to dysfunction
Right.
because your priorities change. So instead of you parenting, you in the corner on your phone, you want to be busy, you want to tap. Children running about, pot cooking or boiling, where's to wash, homework to do. But you're saying, oh, this is the last Instagram, let me check my account. So I would say that adds to dysfunction to today. Role models, we don't have role models. Leadership,
Leadership. Okay.
as before. Gone are days we had more of, we had Boy Scout, Girls Guides, and we were out and about. It have that today, but a lot of other things takes precedence.
Okay.
I want somebody more like, I want to be a content creator. So everybody want to be content creators. They go online, they go in the bathroom, they're doing a product, they're showing themselves. Or they have the new thing. And for me, I'm like, really, what is that? I don't understand that. You know, despite I'm in this techno, I don't understand the new selfie thing and the lady or the guys like, who you really doing that for?
But-
So I would say we have to look at dysfunction in the context of, as you indicated, negative and positive. What is that dysfunction doing? What's the spin-off?
What? Right.
Is it more positive than negative? So I would say all those are the factors. Apart from the parenting, I would say parenting is harder. Because
Than before. Okay.
because you don't have the support of the extended family.
Right.
You have many of us who are young and we didn't know about parenting, so we're trying a thing, and we're too caught up trying to earn, to sustain, so it's easier to give the child a device or send them by a neighbor or the outside lineman with their friends.
Right.
So I would say those are all the factors
Okay.
we have to look at.
You know, so before we continue, I think
I wanted to ask Yusuf a question about something he said, right? Because he said before, you know, if somebody's on, I remember growing up, he said, your parents used to always say, stay out of trouble. If somebody want to fight with you, be the bigger one and walk away. You okay in that, right? Yet, you just made reference to that of, okay, bullying and so, and people's inability. So if you could walk away from somebody that is up in your face and say, and you could be the big man to walk away, I could never understand why you can't just switch off your device if somebody bullying you. And you could walk away in person, but you can't walk away and you're online.
No, well, you see, that's our imprint. Today's imprint is about respect. Somebody say a harsh word, what, you disrespecting me? So you have to now redefine what is respect. Our understanding of respect is showing courtesy, being kind, and so forth. Now it's about, it's hype. You disrespecting me because I tell you I don't like what you're doing. How is that disrespect? You know what I'm saying? You're in my face and I'm saying back up, and you're saying, why? What are you going to do about it? So to me, like, we have to redefine or be adaptive, unlike before.
right.
Too often. So everything now, one word means 20 words. Unlike before, no means no. Now no means maybe, kind of, perhaps. You know, there's no straight cut.
Straight cut.
And we could always get technical. We don't know whether it's he or she. So everybody now, there's
a
another
conversation in
context. So
itself.
even that adds to dysfunction. My son could come and tell me, Daddy, today I'm a girl. I'd be like, what? And then society would be saying,
But
oh,
that-
you have to be
But that's
appreciative.
being adaptive. The parents just adapted to the new age.
Right, so now with everything, there's adaptive within a context. There's always a overarching guideline.
No, I just
No, I understand.
I
understand. So that adds to the dysfunction.
Yeah.
That the teacher in school is getting beat up. And the child can't be disciplined because fear of the school, they don't have the power. They have to wait for ministry or whoever.
Yes.
So I would say that adds to the dysfunction. That today's child know that I'll call 911, I'll call social service. Because daddy and mommy don't want me to do what they want.
And hence the reason why sometimes, as you say, sometimes talking to a trend does not have as much weight And that's why corporal punishment should never be taken off the table, right? Because you can talk, you could bellow from the top of your voice, right? You have to understand that your children spend more time away from you, especially once they start going to school, than they spend with you. So there's so much more influence outside. So that means you have to double up when they're in your care, right? That means the time that you spend with them and the quality of time that you spend with them has to matter, right? I always say, I'd advocate, parenting is about being consistent, right? Something that is wrong today is wrong tomorrow. It can be right because you're tired. It can be right because you had a hard day, right? It can be right because, okay, you know,
It's Christmas.
for whatever it is. Wrong is wrong and right is right.
But I'll tell you as you say that, I think what a lot of us, or what's lacking, we don't have an outlet. Meaning, most of us as parents now, all we do is we try to provide, we try to do the right thing. There is less time for ourselves. Unlike before, when you have social activities, you could go on the beach, you go on lime, you go swimming. Now it's just walk home. And I'm thinking all that adds to the dysfunction, because it means now when you go home, you're tired, but you forget you're still a parent. You have to deal with mommy, you have to deal with everybody else.
Homework.
And you want your time, and don't talk about homework. Let's face it, we all know the homework they give today is for the parents, not the children. Because you have to go online and do it.
Yeah.
And some of the things they're asking them, in whether in Form 1 or grade 4, is really university thing that you for yourself say, but wait, I don't even know that, I never covered that. So I'm saying, to the dysfunction,
Right.
we need more outlets where we could socialize instead of just a party or drink up, so that we could go on, like before, you play cricket, you go on an excursion. Before they used to have an excursion, you go around the island, you go across the island. As adults, we don't have that. And we all need a sense of purpose. And sometimes because we don't have that sense of purpose, a little thing as just knowing that tonight it have the movie coming on at 9, that gives you a purpose. Because you have something to look forward to. But many a time, what we more have to look forward to is about work and preparing for the next day and doing that. So you get caught up. So again, dysfunction.
All right. I think before we move on, I would like to have a top-up.
Yeah,
You know, and I will take the opportunity for our bartenders. I just made up this word, guys. It's not a word. All right, but just to be able to explain to us the little treat that you have in this box here.
Okay.
Eddie, I think you're at to jump in, boy.
Well, the bartender seems very
bartender
busy,
seems
so I'll speak on the bartenders.
Hold on. I think you want to say something.
What's in this box is just traditional
Carry
treats
close.
that is no longer available.
Today?
With today's kids, like buns and potato pudding and pumpkin pudding and those kinds of things, you know. So
I remember this in primary school. I remember it.
Yeah. I had
And
some,
guys, it tastes
very
really
nice.
good. As
Yeah.
you can see, comes in this nice pink box. And then I should be eating the blue one.
you
Should I be eating the blue?
would get a box to
That's
suit
okay,
your
that's
event,
okay.
not
Right.
so this box is just for this
For this particular
Yes,
occasion.
Yes.
Tastes really good. I mean, Yusuf, you had it. What do you think?
Yes, excellent. Bring back memories, man.
Bring back memories.
Yes, is that what? Sweet treats?
It's what is called it? It's magic traditional treats.
Magic
Yeah,
traditional
yeah.
treats.
Well, I could taste the magic.
Yeah.
It is. All right. So let's continue. Now, I think where this conversation could be to get a bit ticklish if we don't first put context to it. So
Yeah.
my thing is the dysfunction that we see in today's society with regards to the family structure is deliberate. I believe that is systematically pushed, and there is an agenda behind creating these types of dysfunctional structures that does not work. For instance, I observed a particular family, a mother, 2 kids, both grown, boy and a girl. Both of them are dysfunctional. However, the dysfunction is different based on, the personality. So for instance, the mother will complain. She will tell the son, okay, do this, do that, you know you have the wares to wash, etc. And he would ignore her outright. But at the end of the day, his clothes getting washed, it is folded, and she has to beg him to put it away in a drawer. Right? With the girl, it's different. There's consequences. There's no consequences for the boy. Somehow he gets to skate by, you know, but then there's consequences for the girls. And I now realize that it has changed a bit because now the girls demanding that same treatment. If Tommy could get away, why can't I? And that's where I see where parenting, the role of a single mother, I think that's where it becomes dysfunctional. Now we can talk about why the fathers are not in the home. Because when that young boy grows up, what do you think is going to happen? He already knows that there's no consequence for bad behavior. So what stops him? Where's his moral compass?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So I just wanted, for us to flesh out that. What's your take on that?
The single parent, particularly single parent mothers, those households that have single parent mothers, that's one of our biggest issues for dysfunction in our country. And what happens a lot of times is that it's a result of teenage pregnancy.
Right.
Okay? Not all the time. Maybe it's even an early, a very young adult having a baby, but she's not really maybe financially ready for that also. But I want to think about teenage pregnancy, because what happens is that the girls, they drop out of school after getting pregnant. And actually our society wants them to drop out of school, because why should they sit among our other girls and boys and taint them?
Taint them,
Or what we've done, we have created a society of uneducated mothers.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right.
And that's generation after generation after generation. We have
Right.
created a society of uneducated mothers who also, we didn't give them that, we didn't empower them to say, hey, actually, you still have the right to be educated. Okay? And that's a big part of the dysfunction. Unfortunately, those mothers do what you've just described. If they have a boy, there's not much consequence. You know, they continue that cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. So that adds to it. If the situation is that, and most likely it is, that they don't have the family backing, the financial backing.
Right.
You know, their daughters grow up and they want things as well. They're left wanting for things, and that's usually where they get taken advantage of. And then the cycle repeats and repeats
itself.
and repeats.
You know, when I speak, and Eddie, and Yusuf, I'm sure you could agree with me. When I speak to a young lady, I can tell whether there is a father in the home or not.
Yeah.
I can literally tell that.
Yeah.
And then you could also see that they're lacking something, that they're seeking validation in the people that they meet. That if they're attracted to you, then they seek that masculine, fatherly validation from you because they didn't get it at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, for instance, I have two daughters and they both go to all girls schools. And I want to use one of the activities which is that all schools have, and that's part of the fix. This is just a part of the calendar of all schools having a fair, right? And you could use that as one of the yardsticks to judge. As you just said, you could look at their deportment, whether it's how they dress, how they carry themselves. You can tell if there's a father in the home. I wouldn't, and when I say tell, I use that term, tell if there's a father in the home, because there could be a quote-unquote father in the home.
Physically, but not there.
Physically, but still not there.
Absent.
Right?
Yeah, right.
I, like, for instance, one of the school that my teenage daughter goes to, there are rules about the way you should dress when you come to a school fair.
Okay.
Right? The parents, that is a very female-dominated thing, are always briefed at the PTA meetings how you should dress, even as the parents. How you should dress when you come on the school compound, how you should dress when they come into a school activity. By and large, you know that you can tell from the way the girls dress to come to the fairs, they breach all what they're told it's breached. And
As adults, we're not
As-
talking about children here,
yeah.
we're talking about the parents.
yes,
Okay.
so the parents, they come to these functions dressing inappropriately, and by and large their daughters do just the same. Whereas I would say, and any father who's around could tell me if I'm saying something that is wrong. No conscious father is going to watch his daughter walk out of the house scantily cladded, right?
At
Where-
all, you know how we just castigate and use certain words. So
Because
they
we
definitely
know,
don't
we
go.
live in the world, we know as men and we live it, we know the stereotypes and the perception, right? It's a marker, right? And whether we want to accept it or not, a man approaches a woman very differently based on how she's dressed. You understand? And I'm not saying because a woman is dressed scantily clad, that means, okay, she's a, whether to use one of the colloquial terms, whether she's a whatever, you know, but because these days there's no blueprinted, because you have aspiring lawyers, doctors, whatever it is, that seemingly wants to, how best to put it, to be liberated, and they want to dress the part to be, as I say, to use the term, to live their best life. They want to show off. They want to showcase. You understand? So it is not surprising to me when you have a whole school population of young ladies that when they come to a fair, dressed inappropriately, and then we're talking about, you know, why they're dressed like that. And it is very clear that there are not fathers in the home, because no father would allow their child to dress like that. And that is why I always say, is because too often mothers want to be friends with their daughter. The daughter wants to wear this because she sees some friend wearing it and the friend had it, so she have to have it too, you know. And then there's no consequence, you understand? Because even if, let's say, there are the extreme situations where they leave dressed in one thing, because that's a scenario people sometimes put forward. They leave dressed one way and then they show up to the event dressed as something else. That means, that is why as a parent you have to be smart. You have to pop up when you're not expected to pop up. You understand? All these things are things that you have to do. I remember you see, like how I talk about the mothers that make sacrifice. I grew up in a very female-dominated household. I had aunts, I had uncles, but technically I grew up with a single mother. But when my mother tell me, Eddie, come home so and so time, and that time pass, and I playing my own man. I tell you, I playing catchers and I playing freeze. And right where I freeze, I just find as though I end up on my toes. And when I look back, it's my mother that have my hand hammered by the back of my pants. And I had to tiptoe from Heinzie School right back down to home and pick up my bag on the ground. And when I reach home, I know I'm getting a serious warming, right?
And it's not lunch. And not
And not lunch. You understand? So as I said, and even as an adult now, I could look back and I could tell you all a lot of the pushback I gave my mother as a single mother, thinking that I knew better, especially when you're getting into your teenager, you feel you know better than them, right? And you figure, okay, that she don't know what she's talking about, but I can tell you now that I have children, that is what I have returned to, the foundation that she laid. You understand?
Yeah.
So and I always have to call my mother name now, because I understand that she make those sacrifices, and once you lay that foundation, basically as children, trust me, they will return to it. So that's why when it comes, it's all about sacrifice and being consistent, right? Yeah.
No, I'm getting the sense that, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that you think that a lot of emphasis is placed on what the mother is doing wrong, and not so much on why the father is absent in the first place.
Yes, and I really want to make that point, because
why do you think you're absent?
I'm hearing it from Eddie, and I hear it from society in general.
Right.
That we are, because they are the ones who are doing the parenting.
Yes.
We are quite critical of them.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not just talking about how people are, how their girls are dressed or whatever. How people dress depends on different things. I mean, at one point we were naked in society and we were okay with that. Okay. Right. This is society we're in. It's because of how we look how we see nakedness, how we see, you know, I'm not even talking about that alone. But I want to come back to why are those mothers on their own? And I have this theory that we don't teach our men to love and to be empathetic, to be part of what's going on. And you know, some of what you were speaking about, you know, not giving them the responsibility. Sometimes it's that, but sometimes we're not giving them that opportunity to care.
They're not showing affection or taught how to show affection.
To care. So you spoke about how a man views a woman that's dressed in a certain way. You know, that attitude can change. That attitude can actually change if we teach our sons that that's a person, a fellow human that they're looking at, and not just a woman with a certain body type or whatever. It can change if we teach our kids, our sons, to love.
But don't you think, and Yusuf, and we'll get back to that, we're still on this point, but I just really want to bring Yusuf here. Now, based on my observation, and I've observed a couple families, well, I'm no expert, but I'm just from my observation, I've noticed that the mother she's actually showing love to that son, you know, because she's literally, in a dysfunctional way, loving him, but it's also spoiling him at the same time. Because, for instance, right, she, like I said, she will wash his clothes, she will clean after him, she will cook for him. She's literally laying out, you know, laying it out for him.
But without the consequence.
But without the consequence. So then when you say that teaching them about how to love, I think that they actually think that that's what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
When in fact they're doing the opposite. Right?
But they're loving them, but are they teaching them how to love?
How to love, right.
That's the question.
That's right.
Are they now helping them to make connections with other people?
Right.
Like human to human connections.
Are
we
connections.
having those conversations with them, giving them those kind of critical thinking skills that when they see a certain behavior, asking them, you know, do you think that's harmful? Asking them to think about what's harmful to their fellow human.
Okay.
And
But
so
we
on.
can. But I just want before Yusuf answer, and put this in perspective as well. What you're saying is so correct, but you in saying that, okay, we're not focusing on why they're single, right? Or why they you know. But we have to also understand that, okay, the same love that you say that is not being taught to our men, or is the same mothers that is passing that on to them, because they are the one that is teaching them that, right? So it's not and I just wanted to make that clear. It's not about a blame game. It's about finding an antidote, right, to this problem.
So a systemic problem.
So it's a systemic problem.
Teach them in school. That's
I don't even think that is the problem, because he must.
more critical thinking.
You know, here's the thing, right? And Yusuf, I'm sure you're old enough to experience an extended family, right? Here's my take on it. So back then, let's say single teenage pregnancy was a big thing back then. I don't know. We don't know. I don't know if it's worse now. If it was worse then, I don't know. But what I do
I think it was worse then. Yes. Yeah.
It was worse then.
Yeah.
But there's arguments. There's arguments both ways, okay? But here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying, right? Even if that's the case, when at least they had the extended family, so that the mother is not alone, and there is some item, and must be a masculine energy in that family, and an older masculine or feminine energy that will pick up the slack where that young parent is unable to, right?
Yeah.
But that is lacking now, and I think that's the difference between then and now.
So that is why, again, I speak of being adaptive. Now, we're speaking in general, but let's hone it into our local Grenada context.
Right.
We're living other people's lives. I would say because of social media, we're doing it for the likes.
Okay.
So again, Eddie speak of the mother wanting to be friends with the daughter. Social media, again, they're selling an image.
Yeah.
Youthful, sexy.
independent.
So you find the mother want to compete with that. She realizes, I'm getting older, my daughter is coming up. Whether consciously or unconsciously, she's competing on the stage of beauty. So that is in the mother-daughter context, wanting to be friends. In terms of the absenteeism of men and not showing up, again, they still portray men the playboy life.
Okay.
So we still want to live the playboy life.
Right.
And let's face it, gone is not a playboy no more. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion, as it used to be. There's no playboy no more. As before. Before, what they used to call it, when you see a sugar daddy, you know who is a sugar daddy?
Yeah.
He had the money, working, eating, and everybody respect. They know he have plenty of women, but no, it ain't happening like that. Because a lot of us men, we don't have the weight, we don't have the financial backing, or what is the word? Don't have the testicular fortitude.
Fortitude, a big word, huh?
You know what I'm saying? So we again act like men, or should I say, some men want to get in touch with the feminine side.
Right.
But I would say is in the feminine side in the wrong context.
In the wrong context.
Many a times we associate feminism with nurturing, with kindness, with empathy.
Empathy, yeah.
And to me, they're not connecting with that side of feminists
Right.
in terms of the empathy, the caring, and the loving.
Right.
They're going more on another, I would say, slanted.
Slant.
You know what I'm saying? They're going in a way they want to be women.
Right.
Instead of taking on the attribute of nurturing and loving and caring.
Which are feminine principles, as
Yes.
we attribute to feminine. All right. Okay.
For female now,
They
the
take
whole
on the
thing
masculine, so it's
masculine,
reverse.
so
Okay.
we have a reverse. So
Okay.
it's about independence and being liberal, and a man can't tell me what to do in some contexts.
Right.
Or wanted to compete with men because we use men as a yardstick that to achieve this, you have to be like a man. There's no reason why a woman can't be a woman and achieve certain status. Whether she want to climb the pole and do stuff, whether she want to be athlete. But they take on the more aggressive, don't care stage of men.
Right.
You know, so I would say a lot of that add to a lot of our dysfunction. And you know, many a times we speak of going back to the days, we might not capture those days, but if we were to hold on to some of those principles we have, I think that would help. And even in the schools where most of our children spend most of the time, we need to start teaching what is to be a family, instead of just churning out people to pass exam or churning out people for the workforce.
Right.
So all those are stages I think we could start curtailing a lot of these dysfunction.
I think it's an opportunity now to really discuss solutions.
Yeah.
I think we could.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I want to in part of this conversation of dysfunction, it would be remiss if we do not point out the fact that because we consume so much American content.
Propaganda.
Well, you said it.
I said
right?
it. Sorry.
And to even reinforce the point why, because there's this narrative sometimes that the reason why women are single is because that of men, right? Whereas if you look at American culture, being single now has been glamorized. You understand?
Right.
I don't need a man.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And if you say that you have not seen that in Grenada, you have not been paying attention. I've heard women make utterances that men are sperm donors, this, that, the other, they don't need no man, this, that, and the other. And then when the reality hits them that they actually been donated some sperm and all they have is a child, then that's the same woman that starts, when Father's Day comes, calling and say Happy Father's Day to me as though you could ever be a father. No, you could never be a father. You put yourself in a position whereby you're single because you minimize the importance of choosing wisely, right? Making a good choice when you decide having a child with somebody is an important decision, you know, man.
Yeah, it is.
And it just bothers me how we always just skim the surface as though, oh, men are the problem. Men are the reason why women are single. I'm going to tell you something. I've been hearing that since I've been a toddler. Right? I've been hearing this. I have seen no evidence that this has gotten better. As a matter of fact, it has gotten worse. And you know why it has gotten worse? Because we continue to glorify it, and now we have social media that is now have now amplified it, right? And then we have the movement, you know, the feminists and this and that, and all the different angles that they come from. I have never seen an equation fixed, solved, when one side is addressed. And for too long, right? From as my old grandmother would say, since King Hatchet was a hammer, right? I've been hearing men is the problem. You've been saying that till you're blue in the face. Try something different. Try something new. Start taking some accountability for your actions. Let's see if it actually works, right? And that is always my attitude to the conversation of dysfunction, because as we get into this modern age of technology, my observation is that our women and our families are getting more and more dysfunctional, and it's because every negative trait is being amplified, right? So whether it is our women never understood the reason why American women was glorifying being single, they may not have understand the genesis of it. They don't even know that maybe the genesis might have been some systemic relic of Jim Crow that was implemented to disenfranchise males.
Yeah.
They may not understand, okay, it was a calculated effort to separate the men from the women.
Yeah.
They don't understand that. They never do any research that, okay, in America, women were given money, but one of the prerequisites that men could not enter the home.
That's right, for welfare.
Right?
Yeah, the welfare
and
system.
then they look at these women on social media or on TV talking and singing these refrains of feminism and strength, right? Which really and truly is not a representation of strength. It is a representation of the most dependability that you could ever find. Because if you look and you pay attention, right, you look at what we emulate, what we try to take or make our models from, is that we look at that society as America, that we have people that is heavily reliant on the state, whether it's to support, whether it's women, whether it's through the homeless, whether it's through contraceptive, whether it's to welfare, you name it, right? And we still continue to model our society off of that. And we have moved away from the extended family, right? Like we had with grandparents and aunts and uncles and all these things. We have moved away from that by and large. And that is why we have now come to a place whereby our main model is single-parent mothers, right?
And that model is changing because now it's sibling. So now children run in the homes now. So that's a new...
You know why siblings model? Because the reason why siblings are running the home is because they are mothers that are making children and putting the responsibility of parenting on their oldest.
So hold on. So she looked like she bring her in the conversation.
It's so surprising to me, Eddie.
Yeah.
And I know you. It's so surprising to hear you say mothers so much.
Yeah, because
and I hear it not just from you, but it's mothers and fathers who have left the children. The father left first, and then maybe the
Eddie,
mother
I think you need to be balanced.
left too.
Eddie, hold on. Eddie, here, hold on. In order for y'all to have some common ground, you can't just focus only on the woman. Let me
ask you this question.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you are broker in a deal, right? That is a serious milestone. You think the objective is common ground? Or you think the objective is getting to a place that works best? When I say the things that I say, I don't say it because I want to be controversial. right?
Yeah.
I say because I have lived long enough, paid attention to things in society, and have been, I'm proud of my age, I'm 50 years old, and I've seen so many changes and transitions, right? I've seen the evolution of what parenting was, what it became, and what it is now, right? So when I speak to that and I see people emulating things that they don't understand, I cannot not point it out. And for instance, that thing that what grinds your gears about maybe my delivery in that, okay, I only make mention to mothers. The reason I'm making mention to mothers is because mothers, by and large, dominate the society with regards to single-parent households. If we want to solve a problem, we cannot pretend that the problem does not exist.
No,
I cannot,
no,
okay, let me
no,
put it this way.
no.
I am not going to, for instance, right? I understand that we live in a country that have minibuses. I think it would be more comfortable and it would be much better if we as a people, we have more comfortable transportation that does this. But it would be ridiculous of me not to speak to that of what is the present situation, is that we have a minibus problem.
I understand.
Yeah, right?
I understand.
So
you're
because that's what
speaking
I'm
to the-
trying to get you
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to
I understand you're speaking about the present situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the present situation is that the fathers are absent, and I'm not hearing you speaking enough about the fact that the fathers are absent. I'm hearing you speak a
Okay,
lot
so what I'm
about,
okay, so let me just say
about the women and the mothers and what.
so
and
what
they
I'm
are
trying to
doing.
address is why we have dysfunctional children, right?
Yes, I
So-
get it. I get it.
If why we have dysfunctional children is like, it's, to me, I see that like a plant, right? If we don't feed a plant, if we put a plant in darkness, it would not thrive, it would not grow, it would not blossom, right? So right now, our plants, which is our children, or be grown up, whether you want to call it in darkness, but who is feeding our plants now?
Yeah.
By and large, our mothers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is what
Yeah.
I'm speaking
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
get
if
it.
if for instance in darkness, that sunlight which let's say is a father is not there, I cannot speak to that because I'm speaking of the eventuality. What is the cancer? I'm speaking to that of the cancer. I qualified it. I said we can have a conversation of why the fathers are absent, because and I am no proponent of I'm no supporter of I don't want to use the term deadbeat fathers or whatever it is, or fathers that don't live up to their responsibility. But there's a lot of reasons for that. And number two, right, we have to start indoctrinating might be a strong word, but getting our young ladies from this stage, and we as fathers have to understand that and pass that on to our daughters, right, to not get themselves into situations of single motherhood.
Yes, and
Okay.
I do agree
Yeah.
that women have to take some kind of
Yeah.
responsibility, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are being left on their own
Exactly.
with the children
Yeah.
and so on. However, I think instead of being critical of them, we say, how can we help them to know more? How can we help them to have more so that they can give more?
Okay.
And what you mentioned about saying, well, I don't need a man,
Yeah.
I can survive on my own. I think that's more of a reactive thing.
You really think so? I think
the
it's-
men are just a
it's-
sperm donor. That's a fact in their life. That's a fact in their life. That's what they've been seeing all around them. That the men have literally only been sperm donors. And what
Well,
are they trying to
sometimes the
do?
mothers taught them that.
It's not. The mothers don't have to teach them that.
No, the mothers do teach them that.
Listen. I live in a community, and I can look around, and what I see, where are the fathers? I don't see them. So sometimes that's actually what they're seeing. That's actually what they're observing, right? So at the end of the day, sometimes those things are just reactive. Hey, what they're trying to say is, hey, I can make it on my own, even if this guy just came and donated sperm. I can
Right.
make it on my own. And we have to say to them, yes, you can, and good on you for for doing it and raising your kids. And I
So
think we
let
should
me
be-
throw
we
in
should
some
praise them more.
solutions.
Yeah. Let me hear from you, Yusuf. Because
Let me throw in some solution. Solution one, well, I won't label it. You pick it out. Schooling, and I think that would negate some of, because again, a lot of single parent, in the schooling, what is the word you could inculcate or teach them at that level?
Right.
What it is to be loved, to have both parents. You get to the children to get to the parent or the mother, whoever, in the sense that they would ask question, where's daddy? Why is daddy this? And then it affords them to explain. Could be wrong, or it might be a bad thing, but it's a start, I would say, on that level. We need to have mentorship program.
Yeah.
Leadership.
Yeah.
So that a young man, a boy could see what it is to be a man. Not with your pants below there and you're
Yeah.
holding a drink and you think you're macho and some
Weed.
cigarette by your, by your mouth and you say, yeah, that is a man. Or not that you have a sports car and 3 and 5 girls in the back of it, that is a man. So
Yeah.
you have a mentorship program. We try to see how we could get more clubs. And then now is AI. You incorporate artificial intelligence
Yeah.
because you want to capture the youths.
Yes. Yes.
So whether you have programs or interactive AI, there is a father that's showing you certain things. That you create computer generated scenarios that, what do you want to say, they play the game of life? You input what would happen if you have 3 children and no father, 3 children and no mother, and you see the end result with the AI and they show you the different scenarios. So now you have the prediction with data. So they could gather all that data and see the end results.
Those are good solutions. Yeah.
So I would say
agree.
that is one.
Right.
What would be another one? Another one would be more social setting, so that we have dialogues like
Yes.
these,
We need
Yes.
to have those
Yes.
serious conversations.
that
Yes.
we could vent as men and women. We could vent and come
course.
up with solutions
Solutions.
as to why this is so. Sometimes it's just a miscommunication, understanding.
Miscommunication. That is what I was
Yes.
trying to identify. Where
Yes.
because there's some
Yes.
disconnect here, and I was trying to get to that why. Because I understand both points. I
Yes,
understand
yes,
both points. I
yes.
understand from both perspectives. But it's just for us now to bridge that.
Yeah, I feel that, meaning, let's put it this way. I could understand both of you frustration that you frustrated. Why is this man always talking about these women? I mean, warm to a woman. And he frustrated, why this woman not getting me? It's not about women. It's about the situation that's happening. Can you not? So
And that's what I'm addressing, eh?
right. So,
So-
that's what I'm saying. This here fosters that kind of solution. That's
Right.
one level.
Yes.
And
yes.
then with the viewers now, they could input and it could start churning and striking in their head. Ripple effect. All right, so let's do this. Let's reach out to these folks, throw these ideas. Let's see what. So that could be one thing.
Yeah.
And then we want to pull in the churches and the religious organizations to see how we could angle that kind of doctrine and teaching and
In the church.
in the church.
That's a separate conversation, because I want to have a special conversation with our pastors.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I know.
of the
Well,
Christian faith. But
well.
anyway,
So that and the
we'll leave that for
and
another-
politics.
That's
day,
another day.
day.
Another.
Right, and finally,
Yeah.
apart from the lot, in our society, politics, we need to see the male politician leaders with their wives and children showing what it is to be a man and have responsibilities and do things.
Right.
That would be one, so the men around could see. We need to get our sports people into it too, that they
Right.
could see. So that's just a few solutions.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know,
That's
I
good.
think, and like I said, we're now summing up this conversation.
Yes,
But one of the things I want to point out, the unique situation that's happening in America, especially with black people. You have women out earning men now, and that is also systematic, because back in the 70s, they deindustrialized the inner cities where black people existed, and it's those
And that's where
jobs,
men work.
those skill hand-to-hand jobs, what paid the bills.
Yep.
So now they're empowering women to out-earn men, disenfranchising us from being able to financially provide to our families. And then we now feel like there's no use for us, so we back out. How does women internalize that?
Yeah.
And I think that is where we start to have the dysfunction and the disconnect.
But
In the American setting, and how it trickles down to the Caribbean, how it trickles down to, because remember, yes, I think it does. In some way, I think it does.
You don't think it trickles down?
I think it does. In some way, I'm not.
Consume every day.
We consume everything.
Yeah.
We consume it every day.
Okay, you know what?
So
that's
another topic.
That's
That's
another topic.
that's another conversation.
I have so many ideas.
But I want us to start thinking about these
system.
systemic and how it affects the family and how it affects.
And I would really like to hear from her as well,
Yeah.
how she think that we could fix some
Fix
of these
the
things,
problems, issues.
because people don't look at the trickle down effect and what they care not what caused it. All they know, they're seeing this picture, they don't understand the origin of the picture, but they like the picture and they're emulating the picture, right?
Yeah.
And that's my problem. That's my issue.
Or they may find it relatable in some
Well,
way.
relating is a way of liking.
There's something about it that's relatable. But anyway,
And-
Yeah.
I know we have to round
Yes,
up
we have to
soon, so-
wrap up this conversation. I think it was yes.
I don't know if so you didn't want to wrap up to say
Yeah, I think
something?
it's I think I will leave it to you.
I just want to bring back what I was saying before, that that we need to make sure that our mothers are educated.
Of course.
Less criticism and more. Let's see how we can educate them a little bit more. Let us see how we can give them opportunities, opportunities for single parent mothers. I think, the more educated somebody is, the more you open up their horizons and the horizons of their children
Right.
as well. So I think that's the best approach in my opinion. Yeah.
Eddie?
Yeah, well, I would end on this note that I think we still may have a difference of opinion, which we as I say, we could respectfully agree to disagree on certain things, but I understand my colleague's perspective. But I think, I want to go back to a statement I made earlier on. You would never solve any equation dealing with one side, and for so long, because of inadequacies, right, and that was maybe meted out towards women, we some time back, there have been a lot of concessions made,
Right.
in order to advance women.
Of course.
And I think a lot of excess, right? Excess in the context, and maybe not excess, because I think I don't care how much you offer to women in terms of, from a societal standpoint, from the state standpoint. If you look at what happens in society, whether it is Grenada or anything, is the people that gets the most resources are women.
Yeah.
If you pay attention, our woman gets the most resources from the state, right? They get the most
Don't tell me you have a problem with that too.
That's what I said. No. But I just want to make the point, because you said we need to educate our women. It is a fact that our women are more educated than our men by margins.
Because of opportunities.
Afforded to them.
Right.
We have systematically, in an effort to advance our ladies, left our men behind. So, whereas some people may say, okay, you're focusing on women, you cannot be playing a game, or you cannot be in some kind of contest, and all these things are being put in your favor, and still, along the way, when you still lose, you want to move the goalpost and say, but I lost because you did not educate me in this way or that way, right? My thing, there's a time when you have to step up and take responsibility for one's actions, and I think that is a problem I have with our women today, right? I am a father of 2 young ladies, so I have no bias towards young ladies, right? I grew up with a single parent mother. I have no bias. I call it as I see it, right? And I just think that we have to move away from this victimhood mentality that we have nurtured our women now to feel that every time something goes wrong, they are a victim. Stand up and be counted. Stand up and take responsibility for your actions. And the more we do that, we would then see that they're able to pass on something more substantial and meaningful to their offspring. Right? And hats off to the women who do so. But I'm not going to be a proponent for women that you know, to highlight bad behavior. I am not going to pretend that it is a good thing. It is not. Okay. And by and large, I think too much of it, there's too much of bad behavior by our ladies, our young mothers, or even some of our mature mothers that should know better, involved in some of this thing. And I just think that it needs to be called out. I know it's not politically correct to call it out, because guess what? Right? That's how it is.
Yeah, that,
right? And by the way, maybe I'll take this opportunity to say maybe the conversation next week should be about somewhere along the lines why our fathers are missing, or not, maybe not even fathers, because I don't want it just to be about fathers. Why are our males, right,
missing in action?
Missing in action,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we'll flesh that out.
Maybe because I think I'm getting a feeling that, you know, we maybe need to shine a spotlight on why the male's missing, or.
Yeah, that's a good conversation to have.
Yeah,
you like that one?
Yeah, you like that one. Yusuf, I want to bring Yusuf in just to, you know, give your wrapping up.
Okay, my wrap up with this is this: at the end of the day, we need to be looking at be solution oriented,
of course,
and have more dialogues and reach out. Hopefully we could get some statistics, so when we speak, I mean, I know that data gathering does be difficult, so that when we speak we could make reference and say, last year in the year so and so we had X amount of single parent and this is why. How many men incarcerated, how many men, why men not showing up. So holistically we could come up with solutions. And we try to hold fast to some of our core values that kept our society, whether we call it old-fashioned or not, and looking to see how we could, it would be difficult, fashion some semblance of the extended family.
All right.
It might have to be of the extended village to get in, because a lot of the elderlies or the old ones who pass on, they're gone. It's not there. So yeah, that's my take.
Okay. Like I said, I totally agree with all, the comments that were made here. I think if we really want to level the playing field, and if we genuinely wanted to level the playing field between the genders, we should have focused on equity rather than equality.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
And it is a deliberate attempt to focus on equality than equity. That was deliberate. And we all know why. We could discuss all of these things. Yeah. But I think this was a lovely conversation. Our bartender wasn't too vocal, but we still appreciate it.
I want to get all secret there.
I think the bartender wasn't vocal for a reason.
The bartender was coming and whispering me the whole time, giving me her point of view. I say, well, give you understand?
Eventually.
Oh, all right. Yes. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Gender Bias. As we say, we're here at this Tricentennial Park overlooking the Carnage, and please stay tuned next Saturday for another dynamic discussion. As we say, we are going to discuss why our men are missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Men are MIA.
MIA. Missing in action. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.